Today I'm going to show you how to turn your hub shelter into a cozy winter haven with a diesel heater installation. So stay tuned, because we're not only going to show full installation of this heater, we're going to show how to do it safely and efficiently so you can concentrate on what's most important, catching those fish. Let's go. Okay, let's get started. So all the products that I use, that I purchased, are going to be linked down below in the description to my Amazon influencer. So I do make a small portion if you purchase from my links, which helps support the channel. So I appreciate that. First off, I went with the Sivel diesel heater, and it's already self-contained in here. Comes with the cable. I had to put ends on it. There are some minor modifications I do to these. Now I did put a 90-degree elbow that does not come with it. Like I said, everything will be linked below. So if you want to do the same setup, you'll know where to find it. So that's already pre-installed on. I just think it's going to be easier than putting on, taking off constantly. This way, this can stay on, and my next exhaust pipe will continue off of here. So that's the heater that I will be using. You can use other heaters. They're very similar. They're probably all made in the same factory. This is an old steel metal milk crate that the bottom was cracked in it. It had a plastic bottom. I had it kicking around the barn for a while, and I said, aha, that's perfect. I need a stand, because these things have to be off the ground so that exhaust can go out. So what I did is I cut the bottom out, of course, and I did cut a couple of these little pieces out here to make it work for my application. Basically, this is going to work great because this could stack with a 5-gallon pail in it when I'm traveling. I can put the heater inside it sideways like this, whatever, for stowing it away. But what I'm going to do is this sits perfect right on top, and I will show you how it locks in there in one moment. But first, let's get fuel inside this thing. Now, this is a fantastic item. Also will be linked to the bottom. This is a battery operated pump, so you're not spilling stuff everywhere. You don't want to get the diesel inside your tent, especially if you're doing ice camping, because you're going to smell that constantly. So you just put that part in there, this in your tank, turn it on, and it starts pumping the fuel. I have exactly 1 gallon of fuel in here. There's actually room for a little bit more, but that container only was 1 gallon. So what I have going on, as you can see, these feet sit right below, and the unit came with these little slide-in things so that you can mount them like to the van floor or something like that. But these slide right through these slots perfectly. This is where I cut a couple little pieces of metal out so they would fit, and this will lock it in place. This locks it in place, but breaks down easily. Now the thing is always on the cart, on the crate. It's never going to tip over. It's sturdy, and I have a base that's solid. I think that's genius. Now I already pre-bent this kind of the configuration I wanted. This is the exhaust pipe that comes with it, but I also added a titanium exhaust header wrap, which will help keep the heat inside the pipe, not make the pipe as hot on the outside. Now the heat would be good to generate inside the tent. However, I do not want it melting my tent or causing an injury. So this will help out a lot, and it helps it keep pre-bent to where you want it. You still can flex it a little bit, but let's get this in. So if you flip this unit over, I think this is the right side I have it set up so that slides right in there. I have my exhaust installed on the unit. It's attached to the base. Let's hit inside the shelter. We'll line this up, see where we want to put a hole. So I think this setup, this is a double hub insulated shelter. I did a video on this also. I'll put a link to that in the description on this shelter. Anyways, I think what I want to do is, last time we ice camped in here, I had one cot which I slept in back there. I had my friend Bobby was on a cot on this side, and Thomas Nuge from Knives by Nuge was on this side, and they were away from the wall a little bit because we had the buddy heater right here, so they were tucked down that way. So there was space here, and this is the door we used in and out. So I think ideally I want to keep the heater up at this end by the door, and I was thinking originally of putting it out this way, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it out this way. That'll give me enough room for my battery on this side, and my exhaust will go out. It'll be far enough away from the fabric, and I will still have room for all the tents, and everybody will be far enough away from the exhaust pipe and everything, and I can duct the heat curved out like this to heat the whole tent. So ideally, this is what I'm going to do. Now, let me tell you real quick, a lot of these hub shelters, especially the name brand ones and the newer models, come with a port for a propane hose, so you can run your buddy heater inside, have a tank outside, and run the hose inside. I've seen people do ports through them to run their exhaust. You still need some kind of fireproof, heat-proof material so you don't melt, catch your tent on fire. However, this does not have that port, so this application will work with any hub. Let's get to it. Okay, so what I have here is, this is a through the hull flange. It's meant for marine application, boats, RVs, buses, vans, things like that, to run these diesel heaters through a wall. What it is, it's a exhaust pipe or a pipe on the center with an air gap and a flange, and it's heavy stainless steel. It also comes with some silicone washers and another mounting plate for the other side. But this basically is going to go from the outside through the hub like this. My exhaust pipe here will hook on here, and then the exhaust will come out, and I have another extension in the muffler for outside, which we'll get to in a minute. But mainly right now is I'm going to put this on the pipe. I'll use a Sharpie to mark out where my cut's going to be, and I'll cut the hole through the fabric, and then we'll get this installed. Now I can flex my pipe, maneuver where I want. I think something like that, but I'm going to check my battery, make sure it fits over here. I'm just going to cut this little square out here. In the middle, and it doesn't have to be pretty. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh my god, you're cutting holes in your shanty, but you know what, I want heat, and this is going to be a permanent fixture in the shanty, because the only time I really use the shanty is for ice camping. So let's see how that looks. Now this is actually going to go the other way, but there we go. Okay, now I'm expecting this could possibly melt a little bit here, but maybe not. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to let this thing burn out, so if it does melt a little bit inside here, it melts a little bit inside. I'd rather have it tight than cut the hole big and have the thing fray or rip. This thing's going to stay in here all the time once it's hooked up. So let's push this through and hook it up. Unit comes these silicones, so I am going to add one silicone, and I had this high temperature heat mat to repair furnaces. I had some left over from a project. I don't know if you need it or not, but I'm going to put it there just because it's going to make a better seal, I think. And then this will go through. Opposite side is going to be another one of those heat mats, rubber silicone, and then this steel piece, and it all bolts together. The bolts, they give you really long, so I'm going to put one through, mark it. I'm going to cut them off to the length I want, and then I'll come back and install them. I have the flange in. What I did is I cut these bolts. I could have cut them a little bit shorter, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some extra nuts. I'm going to double nut these because I don't want to end up losing these. I cut them off. I heated them up, held them with a pair of vice grips, pushed them through from the inside. That way it melted through the fabric and kind of pushed it through the heat fabric here, and bolted them up nice and tight. So that is solid. That's going to stay on the shelter all the time. Small hose clamp here, and line up, and we're going to hook this up just like so. That's simple. So I'll tighten this up, and we'll get the rest of the things hooked up, and then we'll test her out. This is what it looks like on the outside. So it's hooked up right now on the inside, and the unit comes with this little muffler. This is another one of those 90 degrees like I used on the bottom of the heater. So I bought a 2-pack of these. Like I said, all the links down below in the description. There's a small weep hole in this muffler, so any condensation, so that should be pointing down or trying to sort of point down. So something like that would work, but I could push it in and it'll stay just like that. I'm not going to need to clamp that. Just it holds in there nice and tight, and even if it did leak, it's outside. This is just going to quiet it down and get the exhaust a little bit further away from the shelter. This is the intake vent for the burner. A lot of people say run these outside. A lot of people say run inside. Some people say don't even hook this up, just leave it like it is. I'm going to try it with this on the inside for now. If I want to run to the inside, I'm going to leave this on, put a coupler with a longer hose up to the air vent, run up the wall, and I can suck fresh air from the outside at all times. But I think we're going to be fine just like this. So I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to attach to hold up with this little bungee, ball bungee. So that's basically it. That just sits on there. They do have hose clamps for these. I'm just pushing it on. It's just for an air intake, and that looks good just like that. I have that bungee holding it up there. It's not necessary, but I think it looks better. Okay, next, battery, power. Battery's hooked up, air intake, exhaust is out. This is the vent for inside. This could get pulled. You can get longer ones of these too, but that's basically all I'm going to do right now. I can angle it away from the door. It'll blow this way. I can tie it back with a string or a bungee, make it go straight down the alley, whatever you want to do. It's powered on. So first step, this is very important on operation, especially first time or any time it runs out of fuel. You need to prime the fuel on these. So we're going to do that right now. Operation you want to do to prime it, you press this down and OK, and that goes to this mode, and then that will start priming it. Then you press the on button after it's primed. The fan will start kicking on. Okay, so I just primed it and I hit the power. You can hear it. You can hear it fired up now. It should be getting warm any second. I hear the burn. You hear the pump going. It's not terribly loud. A lot of people complain about that pump, and there are ways to quiet it, but it's really not that bad. It probably sounds worse thing on camera than what it is. And that is starting to get warm. Okay, there's the exhaust. Just blowing hot air out here. The most important thing with running these is carbon monoxide tester. I'll have two of these in here, one over here, one on the other end, set up that they will go off and alarm us if there's carbon monoxide. But there is blowing off some smoke and steam because it's heating up. Everything was wet, laying in the snow out here working on it. This thing's working great. That's the setup, and that's how you do it. Hope you enjoyed the video.